Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Marvel Legends X-Force Deathlock figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini Mafex fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
And big shout out to my man Pendelos Murtos for making this review possible. Also shout out to his girl, Miss Monster, on Instagram. It was a dual effort for them to get these out to me. And my man Pendelos Murtos is always looking out. So shout out to you, man. Thanks a lot. And a quick look at the box art. You can see a picture of Deathlock all decked out in his X-Force gear. It is the same picture on both sides. Let's get this bad boy open, see what's what. Alright, here we go. Deathlock, the Uncanny X-Force version of Deathlock. This figure is basically just a repaint, a redeco from the version that was released in the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure wave, which I think is criminally underrated. I think it's a very, very good figure. In fact, that original figure, I have never taken him off display. He's been in my Detoff since he was released. And there's been many different versions of Deathlock. I'm not even sure which actual character this version is supposed to be based on, but some of the alter egos include Luther Manning, John Kelly, Michael Collins, Jack Truman, Henry Hayes, Mike Peterson. So again, I'm not sure who is supposed to be the version represented in the pages of Uncanny X-Force, then ended up joining the team, and then after some time donning this particular outfit to match up with the outfits of his other team members. He's shown up quite a bit in modern comics. I can remember he showed up for a brief moment during the Dark Reign period in comics, and the Hood had a Deathlock that he unleashed on the heroes, and then he showed up in some issues of, I don't know, he was running around with S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while, and then he was running around with Uncanny X-Force for a while. I'm not sure what he's doing currently. His bio on the back of the package reads, "The X-Force joins forces with a rogue Deathlock unit to face an army of Deathlock cyborgs." I was hoping at some point Hasbro would give us some of the rogue Deathlocks that appeared in those issues of Uncanny X-Force. I think the Deathlock arc started in issue number 6, and I always say this: if you haven't read Rick Remender's run on Uncanny X-Force, you are doing yourself a huge disservice. Get back and go read it. You can read it for free online right now for sure. But there were a bunch of different Deathlock cyborgs modeled after different heroes that they faced off against in those first couple issues, including Spider-Man sort of cyborg that looks similar to an old Toy Biz cyborg Spider-Man that we had got way back in the days, and I was hoping that maybe we might get that in a New Age Marvel Legends figure. But anyway, take you on a trip down memory lane as far as comic book stories and things that you should probably read and look out for, and things that we will hopefully see in terms of figures. So I think the deco here looks pretty good. I do see one little paint imperfection up here. Looks like some paint on the neckline here. I might be able to just scrape that off, but I see that the head sculpt is painted differently. I'd like to see how that'll look swapped onto the original version. But other than that, no real issues here. Let's go over his accessories quickly. So he's packed in with this pistol. This looks to be the same pistol that we saw with the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure Wave version, except it looks like they put a little bit of red paint here on the scope, which looks good. And the pistol is black with this version. I believe it was gray or silver with the first one. Of course, I'll be breaking out that first version to do some comparisons, but he can hold this with no issue. His fingers in the trigger groove, and this can actually be holstered here on his right side as well. And then he's packed in with this weapon, which sort of looks like a shotgun. This looks to be the same weapon that we received with the Bishop figure. So this is new. The first version of Deathlock did not come with this weapon, so this was a nice addition. All black, you know, not too much detail here on any one of the guns, but I'm fine with it being all black and not like hot pink or something crazy that looks that doesn't really look authentic. So I'm cool with this, and I can remember back in the 90s Deathlock showing up in a Spider-Man comic. I think it was like Revenge of the Sinister Six, and he had teamed up with Spidey during that time. You know, I'm just reminiscing, thinking back to appearances of Deathlock. It'd be nice if there was some way to actually holster the larger gun on the back here. That would be cool, but he is packed in with one more accessory. I can also remember during the X-Force run, early on, a pretty funny, cool exchange between Deathlock and Magneto when the team had reached out to Magneto for something. And then his final accessory is this very large sort of Gatling style gun, which was received with the first Deathlock as well. But it looks like they did something a little different with the bullet chain here. So it's yellow here as opposed to gray from the original version. And this can be connected here to this little opening. I think it goes this way. I don't know if it goes this way or this way. Maybe it's this way. I think that's right. Yeah, there's actually two openings here. So there's another one here. I don't know if the chain is supposed to be connected there. I've seen somebody do this and just kind of connect it to his backpack. There's no real connection port there, but you can just kind of slide it in there. So however you want to finesse that is fine. But no issue holding any of the weapons. He has a pretty firm grip on all three. And for the record, this backpack is removable. So if you want to count that as an additional accessory, I suppose you can. You can remove that. And I guess you could swap the two. I guess you could swap the backpacks between the two. You know, you could do a little kit bashing between the two versions. We're going over his articulation really quick. Obviously, the head is on a ball joint. It can pop off. No issues there. He'll look down pretty far. It's a really tight fit. He'll look up pretty far as well. You can turn left to right. You can do a little bit of pivot. Shoulders are on a ball joint. They're going to come up pretty far. As long as you get them tucked into that upper torso portion. You can do a full 360. There's an upper bicep swivel. There is a double jointed elbow. It's hindered a little bit on his right arm because of this cuff for the gauntlet here, I guess. You do get a swivel and a hinge on the wrist, but the wrist hinge differently. On his right hand, it moves up and down. And then it's the standard articulation on the left hand. You get waist articulation. There is an ab crunch, back and forward. This can be unplugged too, which is sort of like a ode to the old Deathlock from Toy Biz, I guess, which was actually like a pain in the ass that his gun was connected to his chest in that old version. That was really dumb. I could see some people taking this belt off. It's a pretty good belt for you kit bashers out there if you wanted to remove that and use it for something else. But T-joint at the pelvis, the leg is going to come up that far. He gets a decent split, upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee. You do get a swivel at the upper boot. You get a hinge, a pivot on the foot. So good articulation here for Deathlock. All right, a few quick size comparisons here and comparisons in general. So here he is standing next to the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure Wave version, and you can see how those vary. You can see that he's got the American flag on his chest on the classic version, but he's got the X-Force logo on this newer version. You can see the difference between the guns. This is sort of like, has like a bluish hue in the original version, where this is all black. And like I told you, the bullet chains are different here. So that's yellow, and this one looks more realistic. And you can see the difference in the pistols. Again, the more sort of bluish marbleized color for this original version, and then it's just all black. One thing that I didn't notice, you can see the magazine and the gun. This ain't Mezco's, so you can't remove the magazine or anything like that. But difference in the backpacks, difference in the color of his arms and legs, and the knee pads are different. So, you know, pretty cool repaint, and definitely something that will get us closer to completing one of our X-Force teams, even though we all over the place as far as that goes. All right, so like I said, we kind of all over the place with our X-Force costumes and X-Force teams, but I would highly recommend that anything you saw pop up on the screen as far as books to read them. Go back and read them. So that first modern sort of X-Force run was by Craig Kyle and Craig Yost, if I'm not mistaken. I might be butchering those names, but that team consisted of Wolverine, X-23, Warpath, and Wolfsbane. All right. Then a few issues in, Archangel joined the team. Domino, they had Elixir, they had a bunch of people. That team went on some crazy missions and was all over the place. Then the team kind of rebooted with Wolverine at the helm, and he was leading the team, and that team consisted of, that's when Rick Remender came on, and that team was Wolverine, Deadpool, Psylocke, Archangel, and Phantom X, and we need an updated Phantom X, no question about that. And then that kind of led into the different versions, and the 6th issue of that run is when Deathlock showed up, and then sometime after, the team went into the Age of Apocalypse universe, which is interesting and should be noted because Jesse Falcon said that they're going to be doing an entire Age of Apocalypse Marvel Legends wave. So we may see some of the other characters and the proper costumes pop up in that wave, even though I think they're going to be focusing more on the original story. But I think they may be able to squeeze in some things. So that later team that had Deathlock on it also had the Age of Apocalypse version of Nightcrawler, while the original 616 Nightcrawler was dead. And so we may get a repaint of the Nightcrawler that we just received in the X-Force uniform too. So we all over the place. We kind of close and not close to completing teams, but here's how everybody stacks up. And shout out to whoever that is that gave me this sort of custom wings for Archangel here on the left. I totally forgot who sent me these, but I've got 2 versions of them and they work out pretty well. And that's something that Hasbro should definitely do soon, is give us a sort of powered down version of Archangel's wings with the next version of Archangel that we receive. All right, moving forward. And a final comparison here, a little blast from the past. On the left is the X-Force SDCC exclusive box set Psylocke in her X-Force uniform. So we need the Psylocke that we received in the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave updated with this deco. And then there's Nightcrawler there, which I think will be an easy repaint for his X-Force costume. And I can almost guarantee that we'll see repaints of these two. Maybe they'll be Walgreens exclusives in 2020. But I think as they delve deeper into that Age of Apocalypse storyline, that we will get a couple of modern takes on those characters from the Uncanny X-Force run and the comic books. All right, so that's pretty much it. I will get some setups going with this guy. Aside from this video, I got to move forward. Got quite a few reviews to get to, but this is one that I would highly recommend that you pick up. Don't pass up on this guy. Like I said, I think the original Deathlock from the Sasquatch wave is kind of slept on, and it's an underrated figure, but it is a very good figure. And I think that as Hasbro moves forward to complete these teams, you're going to be sad if you pass up on this guy and then he's scarce or he's really expensive on a secondary market. So don't snooze. Get out there, get on the hunt, find him. Thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
That's crispy.
One thing to note is that, like I mentioned early on, Deathlock has a pretty crazy power set. He's got enhanced strength and stamina and speed and crazy weaponry and can self-repair and do all types of things. But one thing that was introduced, that he had like a energy blades that came out of his hands that look similar to Wolverine's claws. And it would have been nice if they had included that here on this figure in some way. Maybe just would swap out hands, but you know, that was a missed opportunity in my opinion.